No, that's true. That's true. I had a few meetings. Happy New Year. RNDC. Listening to let's tell you to three.
I mean, get out there some time. Happy New Year. time, sorry.
Oh, nice meeting you. Felipe Franco. You may know him. Have you ever met Rob Martinez? Huh? Young guy. He was at Urban. So he's now at Casey. Just lead research in that area. So definitely let's connect.
We're already connected, but.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, but now that he's doing work with us, yeah,
Yeah, that's, we did the research study.
hear you. Doing everyone home. Happy New Year.
How are you? Patient in the. I have staying for the whole thing.
Actually, I'll get look my president. Yeah, okay, so this is a good interest.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have a quorum of members present this afternoon in the New York City Board of Correction, January 16th, 2025. Meeting is now in session. Just a note regarding the microphones. The microphones are very sensitive, but you must put it up in the eye position, the switch, to be heard, and to put it in the down position for it to be off and not active. And I ask that when you're speaking to please put the mic to your mouth somewhat, because there's a lot of feedback and they're not picking up all of the comments from the board. So thank you, board members. On our first order of business is a vote on the agenda for today's board meeting, which board members have received. Will a board member move for a vote to approve the January 16th, 2025 meeting agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does any member have edits or comments on the agenda? There being none, all in favor of approving the January 16th, 2025 agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? The January 16th, 2025 agenda is approved. Our second order of business is a vote on the draft minutes for the November 12th, 2024 board meeting, which board members have received. Will a board member move for a vote to approve the November 12th, 2024 board meeting minutes?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does any member have edits or comments on the minutes? There being none, all in favor of approving the November 12th, 2024 board meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, they are approved and duly ratified. We will now hear pre-recorded anonymous public comments from people in custody.
Closed captioning is provided for viewer convenience. However, the accuracy of machine-generated captions may vary based on audio quality and speaker cadence. The Board of Correction does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the captions. To ensure the safety and protection of individuals using the people in custody comment line, names and inmate numbers have been withheld.
In the past, concerning confinement, I've been confined to NYC since May of 2024. Just on Sunday night, which was December 1st, there was a flashing that took place in my dorm. And I believe that this is due to confinement. The person has complained of mental health ailments before in the past, seeking mental health when she was denied mental health. And it led to flashing. This confinement leads to mental health issues. Not to mention, this person is a high classification. I'm a classification level 3, and this person is a classification level 30. I don't understand how people's lives are being put in danger when they're classed with people that they know are problematic. Something has to be done. There's still no programs. There's still no outlets. The phones are off. The phones have been off in here since Sunday night, which is the first, which is not allowing people to contact their families. Families are worried about people that's detained here because of situations like this. This is the second slashing that goes unsated in 30 days. This takes becoming a health habit. It's already been confinement, definitely something has to be done. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Regarding the PIC public comment, would DOC like to comment?
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Janelle Basil Charles, and I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships at the Department of Correction. This month, because the identity of the PIC was not shared with the department, the extent to which a department can look into and abate the issues raised is limited. Regardless, we take allegations seriously and are committed to addressing them as best as we can. The individual in the voicemail raised several concerns, including incidents of slashings, confinement conditions, access to programs, the mixing of individuals with different classifications, and restricted access to functioning phones in housing areas. Upon receiving the allegations, the department conducted a thorough review of matters concerning slashings, access to programs, and restricted access to phones in RMSC. It is important to note that no individuals in custody are being held in segregated confinement, and the person in custody in question is not confined to a cell as a housing area is a dorm setting. To address the mixings of classifications, currently no individuals are being mishoused in RMSC. However, security overrides may occasionally occur to address safety concerns. Because the department is unaware of the specific housing unit the caller resides in, we are unable to look into the specific allegations. Individuals across RMSC receive programs including religious oriented services, creative arts and expression workshops, and individual counseling sessions to promote mental and emotional health. Additional programs across the facility include mentoring opportunities, reentry services for those transitioning from incarceration, and recreational activities that foster physical wellness and social connections. Person in custody can also engage in arts programming, interpersonal skill development, and meditation practices to enhance creativity, communication, and mindfulness. These regular activities provide a comprehensive support system, promoting growth, healing, and community within the housing areas. As per policy, after a violent incident such as a slashing, the phones in the housing areas are temporarily turned off. As part of an ongoing investigation, phones are then reactivated within hours of the incident. The safety and the security of everyone in our care and custody are of highest priority. We are fully committed to taking all necessary actions to ensure the continued safety of all the individuals within the facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Vice Chair Skipper?
Hello, Vice Chair Skip. So you say that due to safety precautions, phones are turned off. I couldn't quite get everything that this individual was saying, and I'm going to ask for a transcript. But I believe I heard that the phones were turned off for extraordinarily long time. I am really trying to figure out why phones are turned off as a safety precaution when there is an incident. People in custody deserve to be able to reach out to their family members and assure them that they are okay and not involved. So why are phones turned off as a whole? And I'd also like to dig into how long they are turned off and why, and how long this specific incident phones were turned off. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Vice Chair. I do not have that information at hand, but I would be glad to provide further details following the meeting.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions from a board member? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask for a transcript of that call because it was very, I was trying to read. Okay, thank you.
It's been noted.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make a statement that I strongly encourage persons in custody to anonymously make any complaints that they feel will impact their conditions of confinement. It's very important for this board to have that information so that we can make good decisions that can impact the department to bring about appropriate change. So I can say that I was just on a visit last week, Friday, I believe it was Thursday or Friday. And there is a lot of concern about speaking up from those persons in custody because they might feel that there'll be implications or or reprisals of some sort, whether from others in custody or the department staff. So this is something that is of grave concern, but I truly encourage those in custody to continue to bring their concerns forward. Yes, Board Member Felipe.
Thank you, Chair. Last year we talked at the last meeting, and it's something that we have talked about before, the need to kind of make sure that folks in custody, people in custody know about the role of the Board of Corrections. Whenever we visit, I spend a lot of time explaining that, particularly to young people. And the idea, we were exploring the idea of showing our hearings by video at the correctional facilities. Have we pursued that?
Well, thank you very much. I don't think that has been pursued, but
Okay.
that can be something that this board and department can talk about, maybe access to the tablets.
Thank you.
And so if someone from the department can maybe talk to the feasibility or report back to the feasibility of such. Thank you. Deborah.
Good afternoon. Francis Torres, First Deputy Commissioner for the department, will be more than happy to discuss further with the board. As you know, we already have information about the board in our tablets, and so we can explore how best to move this forward.
Thank you very much. So again, thank you to all who left public comments on the dedicated lines for people in custody. At this time, I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Jasmine, for BOC announcements and updates.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'll start by sharing our deepest condolences with the families of department staff who have passed since the board's November meeting. And the staff who have passed are retired Officer Anthony Stephen Dunham, retired Assistant Deputy Warden Edward Correa, retired Captain Henry J. Ellison, retired Officer Michelle Mack, retired Deputy Warden Miguel Angel Melendez, retired Officer Robert G. Jones Sr., retired Program Specialist Stephanie Marshall, retired Officer Wayne Heston Hartley, retired Administrative Public Health Sanitarian Level 3 Patricia Omelia Feeney, retired Officer LaShawn Watkins, retired Officer Monique Brown, and retired Captain Willie Johnson. Next, an update on census data. As of January 15th, 2025, there were approximately 6,618 individuals in department custody. And broken down by facility as of January 15th, in Bellevue Hospital Prison Ward 59, Elmhurst Hospital Prison Ward 7, EMTC 1,537, GRVC 900, NIC 263, OBCC 1,551, RESH 183, RMSE 375, RNDC 1,090, and in West Facility 651. Regarding reporting, thanks to the tremendous effort and dedication of BOC staff, BOC issued 5 reports in the fourth quarter of 2024. A semi-annual monitoring unit report, a report detailing findings and recommendations regarding the deaths of Anthony Jordan and Charisma Jones, a semi-annual report assessing the city's borough-based jails plan, a report assessing the department's 2024 heat mitigation efforts, and a report evaluating the department's grievance complaint process. And all of these reports can be found on BOC's website. And now I'll just give a brief summary of the reports that are the subject of today's agenda. Regarding the death report, which isn't a subject of the agenda, but I'm going to give a brief summary of that one. On December 30th, 2024, the board released its report presenting findings and recommendations in connection with its investigation concerning the deaths of Charisma Jones and Anthony Jordan. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has not yet issued their final autopsy reports or the official causes of death. Some issues highlighted in this report include CHS staff alleged correction officers impeded their ability to care for Ms. Jones while isolated in the infirmary on 6 occasions on May 5th and May 6th, 2024. The camera in Ms. Jones's infirmary cell was inoperable during her time in the area. Inaccurate and inconsistent logbook entries by uniformed staff, such as failure to document calls for medical assistance for Ms. Jones and entries recorded for tours that did not take place. Insufficient touring of housing areas by correctional staff. And based on the findings, the board made 9 recommendations to the department and CHS, including preparing and distributing memoranda reminding uniformed correctional staff not to interrupt, interfere, or deny a person in custody access to medical care, discontinue using paper-based logbooks and transition to a computerized electronic record-keeping system, reinforce and retrain staff on basic supervision, touring, and logbook entry practices, and establish a mechanism for CHS staff to report observations and concerns regarding DOC staff interference when it impacts their ability to care for a person in custody. And for the full list of findings and recommendations, you can go to view the report on BOC's website. Regarding heat mitigation, in December 2024, pursuant to its authority under subdivision C and H of section 626 of the New York City Charter, the board released an analysis of the department's heat mitigation efforts during the summer of 2024, evaluating the department's implementation of its heat mitigation plan, which mandates regular temperature checks and the provision of relief measures such as fans, ice, and increased access to cool showers and hydration in non-air conditioned areas when outdoor temperatures exceeded 85 degrees or 80 degrees after August 3rd, 2024. BOC evaluated the implementation of these procedures during the summer months, covering 8 facilities on Rikers Island. While DOC was fully compliant with providing fans and ice during high heat periods, interviews with people in custody and correction officers revealed persistent discomfort, particularly in poorly ventilated spaces, and underscored the need for enhanced cooling measures. And based on the findings, the board made 5 recommendations to the department, including improved documentation of overall summer preparedness by conducting and electronically documenting pre-summer equipment and housing area checks, and electronically documenting distribution of appropriate summer clothing. Enhance cooling options in non-air conditioned areas and ensure consistent ventilation. Strengthen temperature monitoring and reporting by tracking daily temperatures in common and housing areas at the individual cell level and maintaining electronic records. Introduce surveys to evaluate people in custody and DOC staff satisfaction with summer preparedness and cooling measures. And for the full list of recommendations, the department's response, and BOC statements in further support of the report, you can view all of those documents on the board's website. Regarding grievance, BOC's Public Accountability and Oversight Team reviewed the department's grievance process as mandated by Local Law 133 for the year 2019. The findings reveal significant systemic challenges, including limited access to grievance forms, inaccessible grievance boxes, inconsistent staff engagement, and a lack of confidentiality. Many people in custody reported delays or complete lack of response to their grievances. The report highlights critical areas for improvement to enhance transparency, accountability, and effectiveness. Some key insights are the following. 93% of grievances in 2023 were submitted via 311, while paper-based methods declined. Grievances filed through 311 offer better tracking, but lack a formal appeals process in the absence of paper submission. The grievance process is hindered by limited staffing, inadequate training, and logistical challenges. The board's recommendations include the following. Implement digital grievance solutions, for example, kiosks or tablets with tracking and clear submission guidelines. Increase staff accountability by ensuring regular tours and improving grievance handling oversight. Provide private spaces for grievance submissions to foster trust and openness. Enable real-time tracking of grievances for people in custody who submit grievances through 311. Establish bi-weekly reports for facility leadership focusing on systemic issues and resolutions. Create a task force to review grievance trends and propose solutions monthly. And increase grievance coordinator staffing and remove untrained and uniform non-OCGS staff from grievance investigations. And again, the full report and recommendations can be found on BOC's website. And that concludes BOC staff updates. I'll turn it back over to Chair Sampson.
Executive Director Jasmine. I'd like to note for the record, we do have one board member, Dr. Bobby Cohen. He is on remote, so he is with us. Just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Cohen that we do know you're in attendance at this meeting. So we will now hear updates from the department, updates from the commissioner.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I am Francis Torres, First Deputy Commissioner, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide updates today. First, on behalf of Commissioner Linnell McGinley-Leedy and the members of our department, we would like to wish each of you a happy new year filled with health, prosperity, and continued success. In addition, I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to the board for acknowledging the retired members of service we've lost since our last meeting. Their dedication to the department will always be remembered, and our thoughts and prayers are with their loved ones. Finally, we're deeply saddened as we remember the life of Patricia Omilia Finney and the tremendous impact she made at our department. Patricia Omilia Finney served the Department of Correction with dedication for 32 years, while she held roles such as Deputy Commissioner of Quality Assurance and Integrity and Assistant Commissioner of Environmental Health. None fully captured how far-reaching her work with the agency went. Virtually everyone's day-to-day tasks overlapped with Patricia's at some point, and she always stepped up to lend a hand. Moreover, she became a mentor and a friend to so many in the department. We mourn with her husband, retired Officer Omilia, and her entire family. Her loss is felt deeply, while we also celebrate her achievements, her impact, her legacy at the New York City Department of Correction. Reflecting on 2024, we are proud to say it was a let's do this year under Commissioner McGinley-Leedy's leadership. Despite a growing population, our department made significant strides in safety, security, and providing vital support to both our staff and those in our care. These efforts have made a measurable impact on our city in 2024 compared to 2023, as noted in the following statistics. Slashings and stabbings decreased by 23%, assaults on staff fell by 23%, cell fires were reduced by 45%. However, we recognize there is more work to be done, and we are committed to doing so. In addition to these safety improvements, our Division of Programs and Community Partnerships achieved meaningful progress. We know firsthand that programs are a cornerstone to creating a safer environment for both staff and people in custody. In 2024, in partnership with the Children's Museum of Manhattan, we launched CMOM Hubs at Rosem Singer and the George R. Vierno Centers. These interactive play spaces promote bonding between parents and children during visits, having a positive and lasting impact on their relationships. In addition, we welcome the board's support in promoting the free visitor shuttle bus we offer to all New Yorkers who wish to visit a loved one in our facilities. Visits have an immediate impact on people's rehabilitation and behavior while in custody, and whatever we can do to maintain that support is beneficial. To that end, the department continues to offer 2 free visit buses that run from Harlem at 125th Street and downtown Brooklyn. Additional information regarding the bus schedules can be found on our website, and our staff will share it with the board to disseminate to their networks. On January 6, we released a multi-million-dollar challenge-based procurement to solicit proposals to provide expanded programmatic services for people in custody. The 4 challenges focus on finding solutions for supplemental education services, trauma-informed care, substance misuse, and transition planning and transportation. For the first time since 2020, the department reopened a Pause of Purpose housing unit at the Robert N. Davron Center, RNDC, on January 3rd. Through a partnership with Animal Haven, this program provides dogs who are living in a shelter a second chance. And its participants, in this case, emergent adults, will spend 9 weeks learning invaluable life skills, building empathy, and taking responsibility for the well-being of the dog. In 2024, we also hosted 16 voter registration drives, helping 1,350 individuals submit applications to register to vote, and developed a curriculum to foster civic engagement in partnership with the Campaign Finance Board. Our team is looking forward to the continued collaboration with external partners to expand this work in 2025. Last month, we celebrated our 27th annual Christmas tree and Hanukkah menorah lighting ceremony, marking the start of the holiday season. It was a beautiful event where we were joined by executive leadership and department members. We also want to extend our thanks to Vice Chair Skipper for joining us in the celebration. The spirit of giving back is especially important during holidays. The CARE Unit and the DOC's, or the DOC's Fraternal Disaster Relief Association, hosted their annual coat giveaway in the Bronx, distributing 500 coats to those in need. Additionally, we hosted the 8th annual toy giveaway, providing 700 unwrapped gifts to children in the Bronx, brightening their holiday season. Working in DOC is more than care, custody, and control. It is about community. On the recruitment front, on December 18th, we welcome 115 recruit correction officers during a swearing-in ceremony. These recruit officers will undergo comprehensive training to ensure they are prepared to serve with professionalism and integrity. In addition, I'm also pleased to announce the appointment of 5 new senior leaders. Mr. Fritz Frage has been appointed Senior Deputy Commissioner, overseeing the administration and management of all departmental facilities, security, and field commands. He brings a wealth of experience, previously serving as the Director of Public Safety for the city of Newark, New Jersey. Dr. John Ward has been appointed Deputy Commissioner of Training and Development Division. Dr. Ward has extensive experience in training and law enforcement. Mr. Patrick Gallahue has been appointed to the Deputy Commissioner of Public Information, where he will lead the agency's dedicated media and communication teams. Kevin Doherty has been appointed to the position of Deputy Commissioner of Facilities Maintenance and Repair Division, also Fleet Administration. Mr. Doherty previously served as the Associate Commissioner for said division. Lastly, Ms. Nell McCarty has been appointed Deputy Commissioner of the Division of Programs and Community Partnerships. A familiar face to the department, Ms. McCarty previously served as Associate Commissioner in the same division. We are confident she will continue to contribute in this new role. We are excited to welcome these outstanding leaders to the team and look forward to their contributions in advancing our mission. Looking ahead in 2025, as public servants, our team and our commissioner will ensure and will continue to bring the same energy and commitment to our work, transparency, and building on the progress we've made. Just last week, the department opened a new wellness center for staff at the Otis Bantam Correctional Center, OBCC, which is the first of many to come. The center features a gym, a serenity room, and a business center. The staff in our facilities work long hours in difficult and stressful conditions, and we appreciate and care about them. Providing these resources reaffirms to our staff that for all they do to protect the well-being of others, their well-being matters to us. Finally, the department is distributing body-worn cameras to all uniformed staff, beginning with correction officers and captains. We firmly believe these cameras will support us in maintaining a safe and secure environment for everyone. The rollout began this month, starting with jail facilities and then support areas. We will keep the board posted on our progress. We're incredibly proud of the progress we've made in 2024 and look forward to building on these accomplishments in the year ahead. Thank you.
Okay, yes, 1 second. We'll take a few questions from the board, and then there's a number of clarification items like the heat mitigation plans for 2025, DOC policies and procedures regarding the grievance complaint process, plans for updating Directive 3376R-A concerning grievance procedures for persons in custody, and follow-up items, status of work conducted under the limited 4-month variance on minimum standard 1-04C2, overcrowding. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually not here alone. They're very key and instrumental leaders that will address all of those concerns. Would you like us to start?
I would like to take questions from the board members, starting with Board Member Pitts.
Thank you, Chair. This is compared to what we are going to ask. You said approximately 1,100 PICs were registered to vote.
Yes, they received the
Do we
documentation.
know how many actually did vote?
I can get back to you on that. I don't have it with me.
And I apologize, but I didn't hear, how long has the free shuttle bus been in operation?
2018?
Was 2018 that long?
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was being reported as something new.
No, 2018.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because what I was gonna ask is, how does it impact the visit numbers? But I guess that's moot since it's been in
Well,
operation.
I could have Deputy Commissioner James Boyd respond to your question.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, good afternoon, James Boyd, Deputy Commissioner for
Good afternoon.
Strategic Operations. So just to echo what the FDC said, we do know visits is extremely important. I think what we found over the last couple of years is that the free visit shuttle was underutilized. And I think we want to explore how to maximize it. So that's why you've seen new communication emphasizing people to use it to actually boost visitation. We know Rikers could be somewhat of a desert, transportation desert for a lot of people. So particularly around the holiday time, we wanted to maximize ensuring people, one, have access to it and communicate it so people can tap into it as a very, very important resource. I mean, it has an entire page on our website, but we felt like it was unutilized, and we wanted to get it out there as much as possible. You got it.
Vice Chair Skip.
Thank you. Thank you for your clear, concise, and comprehensive report. As you know, I am completely concerned about programming. And I just want to reflect on something you said about DOC being a community. And it is. But even though you guys have released funding for outside program, which is absolutely marvelous, I do invite you to look within your own community. I've heard some things about some programs that's going on or should be going on, and yet there seems to be hiccups. I'm talking about Redemption Through Photography that's at the Rose M. Singer Center and other programs. If we have officers who are willing to put in their time, their talent, and completely believe in the rehabilitative model, like, why aren't we leaning more into that 10 toes in instead of like going in an opposite direction?
I appreciate that question sincerely. That is something that we have been working on since 2015. We basically have ran different courses based on the past experiences and interests of our officers. I can share with you that that's how we rolled out automotive for emerging adults. That's also how we've done welding. That's also how we've done horticulture. And so this course at Rosie's, you're very well versed by now, was something that one of our officers with extensive experience expressed an interest to Associate Commissioner McCarty when she was the Associate Commissioner, and we immediately jumped at the opportunity. And so we embrace when our own staff members turn around and are inclined to serve as instructors during our ongoing day-to-day operations.
Thank you for that. And I would definitely like to hear further reports and updates. Like, I would like to see this program up and running. As you know, and I have lived in the Rose M. Singer Center, I have never had such a program or opportunities to have such a program. And for the good work that you guys are doing, you know, I understand it's bureaucratic red tape, it's the city, it's procurement, it's this, it's that. You know, I just want to see all of us work together to bring these vital programs into the people in custody, because this system should not be as punitive as it is. It should be rehabilitative. We should be building people.
That's our
They
goal.
leave, but when they leave, because they're not going to be there forever. And programs like this is what builds it up. So I appreciate it if you in your high stature and position.
No. I mean, I adore the officer as well as Rosie's. Do know that, and let me just give you a little bit of information. Do know that when it was brought to our attention, we immediately paid and develop the internal meetings that were necessary.
Mhm.
And he did an incredible job. The feedback that we received from all of the participants and the exhibit that they actually were able to put together was beyond our own expectations.
Wonderful.
It is a costly program. The officer has already given us the list. And so McCarty, Deputy Commissioner McCarty, and the Assistant Commissioner Valerie Graysock, assigned to Rosie's, are looking into the additional fund. Because as a division, every July 1st, they roll out their expenses for different programs. And so that is something that was rolled out once the expenses for the year
Oh,
had been
okay.
drafted. And they are now trying to figure out how it is that we give him all the necessary equipment that he has put forth to us.
Thank you so much for your updates. Please
You're
keep me informed.
Sure, sure.
Just to follow up on Vice Chair Skip's comment, is there a formal process for staff to recommend programs and other enhancements? I happen to receive communications regarding the same program, and somehow it wasn't a smooth process. And so is there any formal way to receive staff recommendations for programs?
Any staff member who is interested can have access to the executive director assigned to each of the jails, and their titles are executive directors of facility programs. There is an open door policy where they can actually go and speak to them. What these executive directors of facility programs have been asked to challenge our own staff members, whether they're uniform or non-uniform, is that they need to submit a one-pager proposal because it needs to be evaluated. The advantage that the officer vice chair has addressed with us is that he knew that too well. And by the time he came forth, he already had that one pager. Actually, it was a little longer than one page, which made it very comprehensive. And we were able to have the division take immediate action. But anyone who is interested can actually reach out to their assigned executive director of facility programs at the command.
Okay, so this is already culture and policy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have not formalized it as policy, but it is culture.
Okay, can we review to make it policy? Because, and I asked you that first, Deputy Commissioner, because I stayed silent on one of these matters so that the department and the staff can work out cordially a process without having this board intervene. And I think that policy would, reduce some confusion in this effort.
So I think Commissioner McGinley and I share a common ground, which is transparency. I don't need names or specific names to actually address situations. If you bring it to our attention, we'll be more than happy to address it. I will share with you that this year, there is an internal goal for the Division of Programs and Community Partnerships, which is to actually go back to very specific policies and directives to make the necessary changes to capture how we have transitioned the role and responsibilities of very specific programs from a uniform member on the rank of deputy warden to an executive director of facility programs. And so as we review these policies and directives, we'll make sure to capture the recommendation and other recommendations, such as the one you've made today.
Thank you very much, Board Member Felipe.
Hi, Torres. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
We haven't talked about this for a while, but now that I have you, attendance. I mean, there was a really good trend line of attendance going up at the school by the end of last year. I know you guys had issues around space. I'm looking forward to be there this semester. How is it going?
I think that when you go in, you will be pleasantly surprised. At RNDC, and I know that that's perhaps where your question is coming from, please let me know if
Yes.
that's accurate. So at RNDC, we operated for a number of years just utilizing the main school. And so I know that I've said it here publicly in the past, we relied on the Peace Center at RNDC to supplement and add space. We're happy to report that last year, through the efforts of the members assigned to Assistant Commissioner Stacy King and the work done by FMRD, Facility Maintenance, we were able to open up the annex school. So now RNDC has two very specific school sites that are reopened. Additionally, the last 2 weeks, if I recall, members from the Educational Services Unit, specifically the Executive Director, Lindsay Librand, has been working with the DOE in clearing up space at the main school at RNDC to create at least 2 to 3 additional classrooms.
That's promising. I mean, last year there was the issue of space, but there also was the issue of young people that were not in the right units and somehow they were lost and couldn't get to school even when they wanted.
So we've made great strides when it comes to that. And there are very specific actions that have been taken, working closely with our legal division, our partners at the DOE, their legal division, as well as the law department, and of course, the Legal Aid Society.
Thank you. I mean, that's promising and looking forward to getting to know more about the school. The other piece that I can predict in 2025 is that looking at the numbers and looking at the young people that I met last year, so many of them are in special ed with supposed access legally to special education, and that's concerning. That I know that's not on you, but it's on the DOE.
Yes, it is.
They're getting the services that they should be getting.
Yeah, it is. Well, listen, Board Member Franco, you and I have known each other for quite some time. Any issue that is brought to our attention by either parents, external stakeholders relevant to special education and the required and mandated services is something that we address internally with the Department of Education, significantly the principal.
Good to know.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Board Member Pitts.
Playing devil's advocate.
Mm.
I think it's a wonderful idea for uniformed staff to add to the rehabilitation of PICs other than a security function. And way, way back in the day, that happened, you know. The current environment is not the same regarding understaffing.
That's correct.
Okay. So any suggestions, or have you all thought yet how you can practically implement the duality? Oh, please share.
No, we always do that. The reason this photography course was so successful at Rosie's is because we created a balance for the officer. We strategically put in place a schedule that worked, that once he provided the class, he was able to go and support additional services. Keep in mind, well, listen, since you and I talk the language, let's talk the language clearly, if I may. So here we go. You know too well that we have very specific budgeted lines for very specific areas. I'm not talking to you about the B officer. I'm not talking to you about the A officer. We have dedicated lines that are budgeted for programs, whether it is escorting, whether it is to support in other aspects associated with programming. Those are the officers that we basically have relied on in the past.
Can I throw out a suggestion?
Sure.
There's such a thing as housing area management.
That's correct.
Might this be incorporated into that?
Yes.
So that possibly the B and housing areas that have a C officer can have the dual function.
Yes, we can look into that further.
Okay.
That is a model that we've built when we design program housing areas or school housing areas where the officers that are assigned steadily become part of the community and are the ones that basically move the dial forward.
I think it's a great model, and I think it should be across the board. Not just special housing,
Mhm.
but across the board.
So then let's have a sidebar
Okay.
in order for us to actually explore this further. When it comes to very specific housing areas, when we offer a program house or a school house, it's not just about moving what people disrespectfully say, moving bodies in. It's not about a movement of a body. It's more about a transfer, a comprehensive transfer of a person for very specific reasons. This person has a need, has expressed interest, and that's the reason that we make this transfer. In transferring and creating a program house, it is not just a transfer, it is the identification, training, and assignment of a steady group of officers. That's exactly what we just did when we rolled out the pause housing area. I'll take you through that, Board Member Pitts. We had members that had worked at EMTC years back that when we consolidated EMTC were transferred into RNDC. And when they worked at EMTC, they actually were co-trainers in terms of what is needed to train the dog, but also to guide and train the participants with this vendor or community-based organization that comes in. So in order for us to reestablish pause, we tapped into those officers that had been previously assigned that are now at RNDC, and we were able to transfer them around to be able to uplift or lift up the pause. When we do that, we also take into account the type of uniforms that we're assigning to the participants, the type of environmental changes that we're making, from a pillow to a mattress to a blanket. The shoes, there is a whole comprehensive plan that we put together that I'll be more than happy to discuss with you along with DC McCarty. You're welcome.
Yes, I'd just like to say, I really wouldn't like this discussion to be sort of a sidebar,
Okay.
but Board Member Pitts being the chair of the Programs Committee, can you convene the committee to address some formal proceeding on this matter? I think it's important, a matter regarding programs, so.
Absolutely, and I will convene the key members of the Division of Programs to come and join.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You've been talking quite a bit. Do you need water?
I'm sorry, no, I'm good, thank
Okay,
you.
because I don't want to take it for granted because.
No, I
it's been
appreciate
like
you.
40 minutes.
That's
straight.
okay, thank you.
So Jude, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had more of a
Board member.
comment. I just wanted to commend the department in terms of its recruiting efforts. And I'm hopeful that the 150 new recruits will successfully complete the program.
So far, so good. So thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Okay, I guess now we can move to maybe some of your other team members regarding the DOC heat mitigation efforts and plans for summer 2025.
Sure. Thank you.
But thank you very much, First Deputy Commissioner Torres.
Hello, board members. My name is Kevin Doherty. I'm a Deputy Commissioner of Facilities Maintenance and Repair Division, Fleet Administration. Today, I'll walk you through the department's ongoing heat mitigation efforts and preparations for summer 2025. I'll begin by highlighting our significant progress in air conditioning coverage across our facilities. OBCC went from having no AC or air conditioning to being 53% air conditioned as of the end of 2024. EMTC went from having little to no air conditioning to being 10% air conditioned in 2024. Work will continue in OBCC and EMTC, determining on internal funding when they become available. Installing an HVAC system and air conditioning in our facilities is complex, expensive, and solely funded by the department. Capital funding for this work is limited due to the plans to eventually close the facilities. We would like to thank the Department of Design and Construction for their support over the years coming to Rikers Island to support the department with this work. The department takes several key actions to monitor temperatures and implement high heat protocols, ensuring that persons in custody are provided with appropriate clothing and environmental conditions for all seasons. We closely monitor temperatures in air-conditioned housing areas, restricted housing units, mental health, and medical areas, all of which are 100% air-conditioned. Temperature reports are submitted to the facility tour commander, the warden, and the assistant commissioner of the environmental health unit. When ambient temperatures exceed 80 degrees in air-conditioned areas, we initiate 2-hour temperature monitoring. If the air conditioning cannot be repaired quickly, heat-sensitive individuals are temporarily relocated to areas where the temperature is below 80 degrees. In non-air-conditioned areas, at least 2 industrial fans are provided to ensure continuous air circulation, and ice is delivered daily between 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. when outdoor temperatures reach 85 degrees. Ice is delivered regularly in housing units, especially during the hottest hours of the day, with deliveries every 2 hours to units that lack air conditioning. Persons in custody are also encouraged to take cool showers, and at least 1 shower in each housing unit is set to cool water. As part of our preparation, the Facility Maintenance Repair Division works diligently to ensure air conditioners, ice machines, and cool showers are in good working condition going into the summer months. As summer approaches, the department will issue its hot weather protocol to all staff. The department also communicates with persons in custody about preventative measures to stay cool and avoid heat-related illness. This information is shared through posters, flyers, sick call triage hotline, and the partnership with Correctional Health Service. In preparation for the upcoming summer months, all persons in custody are provided with shorts and t-shirts. The Central Warehouse conducts an audit to get clothing needs ordered and conducts a secondary audit in May to confirm and verify no additional needs are required. Following the audit in May 2024, Department Warehouse included 31,000 short sleeve t-shirts, 8,200 pairs of shorts, with recurring scheduled deliveries throughout the summer. Summer clothing was distributed to persons in custody in the week of May 20th, 2024. The department is dedicated to ensuring that all those in our care and custody have access to all necessary clothing and is continuously working to address and improve the process. We recognize that our facilities, which are old and aging, can lead to uncomfortable environment in the summer months. We are committed to ensuring the health and safety of everyone who lives and works in our facilities. We'll continue to monitor conditions closely and respond swiftly to any heat-related issues. Thank you for your time. The team and I will welcome any questions.
Any questions? Is it Deputy Commissioner Doherty, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just one quick question. You indicated yeah, capital expenditures and I guess your limits around capital expenditures due to the closing of Rikers Island. Technically, you probably have 2 more summers, right? I
Yes.
guess by law.
Yes.
How is any capital expenditure restrictions on air conditioning or cooling systems impacted during that planning period or 2025 summer?
Going into every fiscal budget, we put in a capital new needs request for funds of such whether it be HVAC or other new needs. And that goes through the procurement process. Due to the eventual closure of Rikers, all of these have to be co-certified with DCAS and approved prior to it being eligible for those capital funds. Air conditioning in particular is very complex. You have to measure not only the CFMs, which is the rate of ventilation in a space. There's structural concerns there. There is various mechanical drawings that have to be associated with it. Architects, engineers. You're also dealing with DOB, FDNY. It's not just as simple as, hey, we want AC, and yes, we can throw in AC. It's has to be methodical, and it's excessively expensive. But as a department, we understand your concern. We actively continue to mitigate the air conditioning concerns on a quickly as possible basis.
Okay, I'll leave it at that, but I can say that in my visits, some areas are very, very cool and some areas are still very, very hot. In your surveys in this regard, and I don't know if other board members have seen this past summer in touring, in your surveys, do those corrective measures take place or do staff complain or PICs complain or to address those issues?
If there's pre-existing air conditioning and it is brought to our attention that there is a concern of heat-related issues, they're addressed immediately. The team is sent out, it's evaluated, investigated, and steps are followed to mitigate and abate that issue as soon as possible. If it's areas that do not have air conditioning, we work with the facility teams and the leadership team to provide additional fans, increase the capacity of ice, and measures that I had laid out in my statement as well.
Okay. Vice Chair Skip has a
Hey,
follow-up.
so I have a follow-up question. So you said that you provide fans, you say you provide ice. What I need to know is how many fans and what type of fans, because you have several large housing areas. You have dorms, you have housing areas with individual cells. So if you're bringing in one fan that's going to sit at the top, so to speak, of the housing area as you enter in, it's probably not going to reach all the way down through the line of cells. The same thing with a dorm. If you're positioning one fan, even an industrial size fan, at the beginning of the dorm, odds to even are, if you've got 50 beds in a dorm, that one fan is not going to reach all the way down to the back of the dorm. So the follow-up that I would like to receive from you is A, depending on type of housing areas, how many of these items and where are they placed at? B, the same thing with ice.
I don't
You
have
know.
that information right now, but I'll make note of it and get you that information.
Yes, thank you.
If there's no other questions, thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner Doherty. I don't know if you'll be addressing DOC policies and procedures regarding grievance complaint process. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Dr. Michelle Banks. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Constituent Grievance Services, OCGS. Thank you for the opportunity to respond to the board's assessment of the department's grievance procedures and processes. We appreciate the board's insights and recommendations included in the report. Given the board's report was issued 2 weeks ago, the department is still reviewing its contents and evaluating the board's recommendations. We are still in the process of conducting a comprehensive review. I would like to address 2 of the board's specific recommendations related to leveraging digital solutions in the grievance process. This has been a priority of mine. And in May 2024, OCGS launched an application that enables persons in custody to submit grievances via tablet. Utilizing the tablet has increased access to the grievance process for persons in custody. This is not mentioned in the report, so I would be remiss if I did not make it clear today. Not only have we successfully leveraged technology to enhance access to of the grievance process for individuals in custody, but also for the broader community. Notably, the department's website now includes a complaint status outcome link so the public can view the status of their complaints on our website since January of 2024. We are currently in the midst of revising the grievance directive, and we look forward to sharing the draft with the board for the board's feedback prior to promulgation. The department is conducting a thorough review of the report and will be happy to share with the board our response to the recommendations. Thank you, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you. Judge Kuzier.
One of the, I think, critical issues is really privacy and confidentiality with respect to reporting grievances. And it seems to me that there has to be some uniformity with respect to how those interviews take place and where they take place. So the hope is that when the department does respond, it will include a plan with respect to that issue. Privacy and confidentiality, because again, I think it's a critical issue because you have complaints that are made against staff, you have complaints that are made against other PICs, and this many times people are going to be hesitant to be forthcoming with respect to their grievances if they know that that's information that's going to be out there and going to be shared. So it seems to me that's something, and again, that's a training issue as well, I think, in terms of those persons who are conducting the interviews with respect to any of the grievances. So my hope is that that will be something that will be addressed because that should be something that can be addressed in the short term.
Thank you for that recommendation. So as part of OCGS revising the directive, we are doing a comprehensive reset of grievance operations throughout all of the commands, which will include accountability measures, transparency measures, and we'll look further into the confidentiality of reporting for persons in custody. We'll take that into consideration and share back our response.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Judy.
Yeah, just to follow up. It had been mentioned that persons in custody are somehow or somewhat reticent in terms of making complaints. What is the department, or what has the department done in terms of alleviating that issue?
So I'm sorry, can you just clarify the question?
So it had been noted that persons in custody are reticent in terms of making complaints. So I was curious as to what the department has done in terms of alleviating that fact.
So all complaints that are received are addressed accordingly. I personally review trends and I share them with facility leadership to conduct an assessment. I think it's important to note that grievances may be viewed as areas of improvement where the department evaluates the trends to identify and implement viable solutions. This is something that is done daily. There are sometimes weekly and or monthly or bi-monthly meetings to align with facility leadership to implement viable solutions to enhance not only the grievance operation, but facility-based operations. So it's an ongoing matter that we consistently address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It does not appear to be any further questions. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner Michelle.
Dr. Michelle Banks, Executive Director of OCGS.
Okay, thank you. So now This is regarding overcrowding?
Correct, sir, the bed variance.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Ned McCormick, and I'm the Associate Commissioner of Facility Operations. I'm here to provide an update on the status of the work related to the variance granted in November regarding overcrowding. We requested and were granted the variance on November 12th, 2024. The 100 additional beds requested were installed in the OBCC dorms by the first week of December. We began populating the beds as of that time as well. Since the time of the variance request, our population peaked at around 6,721 on December 9th. It then dropped to 6,435 on December 28th, which represents a trend that tends to occur every December. Based on the projections, we expected a rebound, and we see that trend playing out already. As of January 15th, our population was back up to 6,582. Looking ahead, we do expect a continued slight increase in population, which necessitates the additional bed space. The additional beds also afford us flex space as we routinely temporarily close select housing areas for required updates and maintenance. The department continuously evaluates our capacity and housing needs from the perspectives of facility maintenance and security. The work requires close collaboration between our facility maintenance and repair division, security operations, facility operations, and our classification teams. The department requires the variance to ensure that we have as many suitable options available to house persons in custody as safely as possible. The department will continue to keep the board updated on this matter. Thank you for your support, and I welcome any questions you may have at this time.
Vice Chair Skip.
Yeah, I'm just a tad bit confused. Are you increasing bed space because you have bodies for those bed spaces? Or are you increasing bed space because you believe you will have the bodies to put in that bed space? So in other words, you're just putting it out in the atmosphere that we're going to get a lot more bodies and let's build beds.
No, we were nearing capacity, so we want to make sure that we have options. Ultimately, without any flex space, we can't shut down certain housing unit and do these repairs. So at the last November board meeting, the variance was requested for the additional 100 beds. Now, the breakdown was 10 extra bunks in the dormitory housing areas in OBCC. And out of those 10 housing units, 4 of them out of the 10 are still below the 50 TC that was previously in there. So we have them in the case we need them because we were getting close to capacity.
And this variance only includes, or you only ask for a variance for OBCC. So this does not incorporate the rest of the housing.
Correct.
The facilities.
Yes, ma'am.
Just OBCC.
Yes.
Okay.
Just, well, just for clarification, I guess trends are based on historical data.
Correct.
And just the last question, any incidents regarding additional PICs in dorm space? In those 10 additional beds, has there been any escalation in incidents or violent incidents or?
I don't have the metrics on that data that you're requesting. I will say, there are incidents in housing units. I don't know if any of it correlates or is directly to those additional bunks that were in the housing, because like I said, 4 out of the 10 are still below the 50 that were originally set prior to the installation of the additional bunks.
But those that are, perhaps before or if there is acts for a continuation, I think that that particular data will be critical in that decision.
We can look at the data for you and get back to you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. 1 second. Now, Executive Director, next question.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is regarding EMTC's admission units. How is that impacted by the rising numbers? Because I don't believe EMTC was included in the variance request.
They weren't, but the island's very fluid based off their classification, right? So EMTC is our new intake facility. So ultimately, what it does is alleviates some of the intake beds, so we can actually transfer them and have additional bunks for the PICs when they're coming in. The PICs can be transferred to the different commands based off the need and security measures and classification. So it is a relief valve for EMTC with having those additional bunks. But there was no additional bunks put in at EMTC.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice Jessica.
Yeah, what is the classification level for OBCC?
It's maximum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'd say thank you. I don't think there are any additional questions at this time. What? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to the department for your responses. They've been very direct and forthcoming and much appreciated. And we look forward to further follow-up. I'd like to ask CHS DOC joint update. We now hear joint update from DOC and CHS regarding sick call.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is James Saunders, Deputy Commissioner for Health Affairs, Compliance and Quality. The department and CHS are working collaboratively towards a solution to track clinic production in the form of a shared dashboard. The system would capture all clinic production and would capture how the visit was arranged, whether it would be the health triage line, a walk-in, a third-party referral, and so on. It would also capture if the person was or was not produced to the clinic and the reason why. The proposed dashboard would allow us to generate reports that would be instrumental in addressing the board's concerns with sick call reports and records. So we look forward to taking the next steps to create this solution and continue to work together with our colleagues at CHS.
Good afternoon, board members. Carlos Castellanos, Chief Operations Officer. Thank you for your recommendations. Following up on the recommendation to implement the joint dashboard, please note that currently we are already providing what we call the call down list electronically to the department throughout the different jails. The list replicates closely what the fields that DC Saunders just made reference to. But again, I think we are looking and we are open to work with the department to modify the way that we transmit the list or the call down list or the appointment list to enhance and to make it more of a benefit to DOC to document outcomes of production. So we are looking forward to work with the department to enhance the process.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions? I can say, regarding sick call in a response to this board's request to get a better procedure and process in place. And I think this might have been, 5-6 months now we've been working on this. And then I received something today that, I'm very I'm just very disappointed in the progress in this area to come up with something that this board deems so critical. And understanding the sick call process. So maybe someone can explain a little bit more on your process and procedures and where you are than just the 30-second overview, because this is a critical area. So if I can get a little bit more as to where we are, where we're going with this process.
I believe the next step is really for the IT teams to talk and determine what the next step will be in the process. Again, I mean, our practice has been that we provide the department with electronically a list that allows to document outcomes. I think there was some jails where we had to reinforce that practice, but again, it's really agencies to get together and come up with a different to improve the process.
Is IT, Department IT here? Is IT here? Who does IT report to?
So both agencies have IT divisions. You know, New York City Health and Hospitals, Correctional Health Service, they have an IT. New York City Department of Correction has an IT division. The data might be different, and so if they're, not to get into technicalities, but their data may be transmitted in different formats than ours. Our systems may not be compatible with theirs, and so the IT divisions have to work through a process whereby there's a shared, language, and they set up the data transfers and a whole, host of other programmings associated with this. So the concept, although it sounds simple, there's a lot more complexity behind it.
I didn't mean for it to, if I presented it as simple, I just was asking if IT was here to explain any challenges or complications and what type of plan, and what type of timeline are we looking at to address this issue of concern to this board. So that's what we're sort of looking for. When will this issue be resolved so that the sick call process and there's full accountability in that area?
Understood. So we will have an update at, by the next board. We'll have more information to share.
Okay, I think you
Hold
wanted
on.
to say
Hold
something.
on. First Deputy Commissioner Torres.
I will make sure to challenge our team at DOC to be able to align internally in order for us to determine where it is that we are with our own IT and provide you with an update. We will not wait until the next board to provide you and finalize a response regarding this.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Commissioner.
Were you going to say the same?
Great. That was really helpful. We do, as Mr. Castellanos indicated, Patsy Yang, sorry, Senior Vice President for Health and Hospitals for Correctional Health Services. We do currently provide electronic transmittals of patients whom we ask to be escorted. Absolutely happy to work with the department to make that process more user-friendly in the jails for them. Okay.
Yes, okay, thank you very much, Patsy. And I know that, I think that when we had this discussion, I asked for both CHS and the department to work with the board and our executive director. And I don't know what the communications three ways been so that we really can, have this product, in place. Have you been communicated from either?
Well, we've asked for updates and we had hoped to hear of more of a progressive update today, but hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have communications in between and we'll be able to fully inform the board of what the next steps are.
All right, thank you. Patsy and Summers, if you can remain for a second, I just had one question. I was touring the other day, and I won't mention the facility, but there was a PIC that is visually impaired, and there was a lot of discussion about the support that this particular individual has been receiving. He's visually impaired, and he has somewhat hearing loss as well. I'd like to, and I mentioned to the staff, the CHS staff, based on your presentations before, that there are forms and policies in place so that services could be provided. Is maybe some retraining or communication to all staff, because this PIC was really at the mercy in some cases, maybe not the mercy, but at the, abuse of others with respect to the aid and basic services that they need. So I would like to perhaps get more communicated out to staff as to what resources individuals in custody have and how they apply for it to, if that can be communicated more to the staff. And thank you. There will be no COBA updates today. They had a session that they had to attend, so we will not hear from COBA today. We will now hear comments from the public. Jasmine will call the names of those who signed up to speak.
The first person is Mazabeth Ginger Lopez, followed by Jay Adidin.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, I'm Mazabeth Ginger Lopez, a paralegal client advocate at the Legal Aid's Prisoners' Rights Project. Many of our colleagues here today, as myself, are raising critical issues, including the horrible circumstances that led to the death of Charisma Jones. We are using the limited time here to draw attention to this discrete issue of DOC's failure to protect people in custody from both the heat and the cold. Firstly, Legal Aid commends the board for its work monitoring heat in New York City jails, for recognizing the dangers imposed by extreme heat in jails generally, in New York City's jails specifically. We thank the board wholeheartedly for releasing its report on heat mitigation efforts in the jails last summer and agree with the report's recommendations. The report referenced that the court monitors reports from our office's longstanding litigation, Benjamin versus McGinley-Liddy, which concerns, among other issues, ventilation in jails. We wish to alert the board to a critical heat mitigation measure that the heat report's recommendations did not address. As mentioned in paragraph 7 of the August 3rd, 2024 teletype, which was attached to the heat report, during lockout periods on high heat days, officers are required to give people in custody unlimited access to showers. In the Benjamin litigation, Legal Aid's expert testified that free access to cool showers is the most effective measure to keep people cool during extreme heat. And DOC's most recent heat plan states that all individuals are encouraged to take cool showers to mitigate any high heat concerns. Yet, documentation we have received from DOC over the years, as well as reports from our clients in custody, indicate that cool showers are virtually never available. They all run hot. Stated simply, despite our requests over the years, DOC has never, not once, shown that any of their showers run cool water on high heat days, contrary to DOC policy. As just two examples, in August 2024, people in OBC's 1 West and 3 Southwest told our office that they never or rarely have access to cool showers. In the heat report, the board recognized the importance of consistent and effective ventilation in non-air conditioned areas. It noted that the recent reports from the Benjamin Monitor found substantial deficiencies in DOC's ventilation systems, including dirty and clogged vents. We commend the board for amplifying these findings and wish to highlight another fact uncovered by the monitor, that there are no vents in EMTC's housing areas. Again, there are no vents in EMT's housing areas, a fact that we ask the board to immediately investigate and publicize. Finally, since the threat these days is the cold, we ask the board to examine the clothing DOC provides during the winter months and amend the minimum standards if necessary. We have received numerous reports of clients freezing because they lack proper clothing, including winter coats. And I'm sorry. Yes, and also face retaliation for making these reports. Thank you.
Thank you. I know DOC wanted to, I'm sorry, Jay Adidin, just 1 second. DOC wanted to correct something?
Yes, Board, I just want to put in the record for clarification. I misspoke. So OBCC is a max facility, but the actual housing units that we put the dorm bunks in are low to medium class.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Adidon, followed by Natalie Fiorenzo.
Thank you. My name is Jay Edidin. I'm the Director of Advocacy at the Women's Community Justice Association, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the Beyond Rosie's campaign. So every time we learn of another death on Rikers Island, the city is quick to insist that it was a regrettable but isolated incident. And yet, as I review the stories of those lost in the last 3 years, the same scenarios keep appearing over and over. Medical neglect, denial of care, falsified records, and unlawful solitary confinement. So here's what I'm wondering. How many deaths is it going to take to publicly acknowledge a pattern? Another dozen? Another 34? How many more than that will it take for the city to seriously address what's happening here? Every single one of these deaths was a tragedy. But even one might have been preventable is a travesty, and I'm not sure there's a word I can say in this room for the fact that so many could so easily have been averted. We have had reports and recommendations and heard round after round of assurances and excuses, and the deaths keep happening, and again and again and again we read ignored requests for medical help and signed off but did not actually tour the unit, and 1,000 variations on those. We are past the time for answers. We have answers. We have had answers for years. What we need is true accountability for Charisma, for Anthony, and for all those who came before, for Tars and George and Arman and Mary and Annabelle and Elijah, for Michael, for Edgardo, for Marvin and Felix, and so many others. And this is where I ask, where do we go for that? Whom can I beg in the city of New York who can actually put a stop to these deaths? Who can activate any measure of justice or incite any level of substantial permanent change? Because what's happening here, what's happening now, it's not working. It hasn't been working for years, and every day it keeps not working, more lives hang in the balance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Natalie Fiorenzo, followed by Jennifer Parrish.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Fiorenzo, and I'm a senior correction specialist at New York County Defender Services. Before I get into the testimony I prepared, I wanted to bring a couple follow-up questions and comments based on what DOC said today. For what Officer Torres said, everyone complains of no programs. Like, that is consistent facility-wide, no matter what housing area you're in. So I would urge you to can use them, because it feels like probably only a few hundred rather than everyone having access to these like incredible programs they talk about all the time, and how often they are provided. To what Dr. Banks said, just so you guys know, if she's talking about the tracking process that I know about for grievance, it just says like pending or finished. Like, there's really not much information on there. And to what Mr. McCormick said, if they're continuously evaluating the overcrowding situation and the new beds, why don't they have any information on if there's been incidences related to that? That seems like one of the most important things you should be evaluating. So I urge you all to ask those questions if you can. I want to thank the board for the reports that they prepared for today on the grievance process, overheating in the facilities, and the deaths of Charisma Jones and Anthony Jordan. I also want to thank you for keeping an eye on deadlocking on the ground in the facilities. We've heard that board staff have had a presence in PACE units and CAPS units and have been advocating for individuals who are deadlocked to be let out. Unfortunately, these reports and the advocacy from board staff further highlight and corroborate what we as advocates have been telling you all along. We've testified about the grievance process and its issues. We've testified about heat issues that are unsafe year-round. We have clients that are overheating in the winter because the radiators aren't working, and clients on the other side of the building who are begging us to send them blankets and coats, which we can't, because they can see their own breath in their cells. The fact that board staff have been advocating for people in custody to be removed from a deadlock means that the culture of deadlocking is still alive and well. I have spoken to multiple clients just in the past few weeks that have either been deadlocked for days on end themselves or have witnessed it widespread in their housing areas. Deadlocking is still occurring both in general population and mental observation units. Their reports vary from officers deadlocking some individuals at the instruction of other people in custody to deadlocking others because the officers don't want to deal with them. Reading the death report of Charisma Jones and Anthony Jordan was incredibly hard to get through. The report shows dozens of examples of malfeasance and malpractice on the parts of both DOC and CHS in these horrific deaths. What stood out to me the most reading Miss Jones' report was the fact that she was clearly under a deadlock and then she died. Reading this made the choice of the term dead locking that much more haunting. The board makes it very clear in this report and in their minimum standards that correctional personnel shall never prohibit, delay, or cause to prohibit or delay a person in custody's access to care or appropriate treatment. All decisions regarding the need for medical attention shall be made by the healthcare personnel. Preparing this report and sending your staff to let people out is helpful, but it's not enough. The culture that DOC has cultivated at Rikers is one that normalizes torture, and the entire board needs to make a stand for receivership now, ideally before the Nunez court date next week. And more.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I think the sound was your time. I'll let
I
you
see.
go a bit, but I think if you can just make your
This
point.
is the very end. More than anything, we need people out of these facilities. Over 1,000 people were released just in 21 days when the pandemic happened. Mass decarceration is possible, and there's no reason it can't happen now. The global pandemic was unprecedented, but so is a city jail complex being the largest mental health provider in that city and one of the largest in the country. Please use your voices to protect the people you are meant to protect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Parrish, followed by Michael Klinger.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Parrish, and I'm the Director of Criminal Justice Advocacy at the Urban Justice Center Mental Health Project and a member of the Halt Solitary Campaign and the Jails Action Coalition. I'm very disappointed that the board's agenda today did not include deadlocking or involuntary lock-in. The public comments are the first time we've heard that mentioned at this meeting, despite the fact that this was discussed extensively at the October meeting when Justina Rzwinski, a former Correctional Health Services employee, came forward and exposed the widespread use of the practice in the mental observation units and the PACE units. At that time, the board seemed deeply alarmed by what she was saying, and we appreciate that you came back at your November meeting and issued a resolution condemning the use of frequent, arbitrary, and unreported involuntary lock-in. However, that's not sufficient. It seems that you have let the department off the hook. They weren't asked about it whatsoever at this meeting. Also, I found it very disappointing when speaking to Ms. Rzwinski that the board has not even contacted her. She has detailed information about those past incidents, and it was our understanding that the board was actually going to investigate to be able to document the extent of the use. And then the fact that this wasn't even mentioned when you issued a death report that shows in Charisma Jones' death how deadlocking affected her care, the fact that medical care cannot be provided to people because DOC is choosing not to unlock their cell, this should be the highest priority for this board. Ensuring the health and safety of the people who are incarcerated. And it's unacceptable that you allow DOC to continue to get away with this practice. I mean, they told you initially they didn't know anything about it happening, yet we're hearing from Natalie that your board is actually seeing it happen now, and you're not doing anything about it. You're not reporting it publicly, and that's quite shameful. Without your oversight, this is going to continue, and it should not take the death of another incarcerated person for you to monitor the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parrish. Just so you know, Ms. Parrish, the issue on deadlocking, I believe, is under investigation. So the matter is under investigation.
Thank you. Michael Klinger, followed by Octavia Ewert.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Klinger. Excuse me. I'm a jail services attorney with Brooklyn Defender Services. Thank you for the opportunity to offer some comments today. We focus our comments on concerns raised by two of the board's recently issued reports. First, we appreciate the board's findings and recommendations related to heat mitigation last summer, but we remain keenly aware that the people we represent continue to experience physical discomfort as a result of temperature controls, and this report comes just as we're hearing daily about cold temperature issues. A review of complaints we've submitted to the department and the board just since the beginning of this year shows persistent issues at OBCC and RNDC. In OBCC at 1 South, 1 West, 5 North, 6 Upper, and 5 Southwest, and in RNDC, Mod 3 Lower South, Mod 4 Lower South, and Mod 4 South Upper. At OBCC 5 North and 6 Upper, windows stuck in an open position, incapable of being closed or just broken, allow cold air to blow in at all times. RNDC Mod 4 South Upper and OBCC 1 West both report heat in the day room, but not the cells. And at OBCC 1 West, we heard that DOC staff check the temperatures only in the day room, a problem the board highlighted in its report on heat mitigation from last summer. Second, as to the board's second report and recommendation on 2024 deaths in DOC custody, there are multiple ways in which this report's investigations do not elucidate our understanding of the circumstances around the deaths of people held in DOC custody. For example, the report acknowledges that CHS records indicate in some detail that CHS personnel were barred from examining Ms. Charisma Jones on 6 separate occasions. But then it reports that surveillance footage did not capture CHS staff on the floor or engaging with DOC staff in front of Ms. Jones's cell or near the housing area officer's desk, and adds that the department has not produced any records to the board that would reflect that its staff either granted or refused access to Ms. Jones. The report provides no further fact-finding, no interviewing of CHS staff members that first recorded the DOC's blocking of Ms. Jones's medical care, and thus no resolution to the discrepancy, just brand new questions, including whether DOC has withheld records. Without resolving these questions, it's not clear how the board's report will help to prevent these kinds of interactions between DOC and CHS from endangering other people in custody in the same way in the future. Furthermore, while the report notes certain failures to accurately make logbook entries with respect to Mr. Jordan, it fails to mention that in the case of Ms. Jones, DOC staff forged logbook entries to suggest that she refused on-island medical appointments when she'd already been off-island in a hospital placement for 3 weeks. That's a clear case of falsifying records to suggest that Ms. Jones affirmatively refused an appointment when she definitely didn't. And yet the report is silent. Almost done. Instead, the board recounts multiple instances when Ms. Jones is alleged to have refused medical treatment. In doing so, it makes no inquiry into Ms. Jones's capacity at the time, and we're left to wonder whether or how her ability to understand may have been impacted by her condition. The board, in its oversight function, has an obligation to investigate, to follow the line of questions until it reaches answers, and to hold DOC accountable. And this is especially true where the department has failed to perform its most basic function of keeping people safe. In this report, I'm sorry to say the board has fallen far short of its mandate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Octavia Ewert, followed by Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips.
My name is Octavia Ewert, and I'm a legal advocate with the Prisoners' Rights Project at the Bronx Defenders. I want to start off by thanking you all for publishing the assessment of DOC's grievance procedures and your report on the heat mitigation efforts in New York City jails. We appreciate your attention to these issues that numerous advocates have raised with both BOC and DOC over the years. As highlighted in the board's report, there are several barriers that hinder incarcerated individuals from effectively engaging in the grievance process. Not only do our clients consistently face these challenges, DOC and OCGS staff specifically have created similar obstacles for our attorneys and advocates. When our clients lack access to a grievance box or a grievance officer, and experience, we have to submit grievances on their behalf, Doing so not only creates a written record of the submission, but also enables us to follow up on those responses when OCGS doesn't provide a response. In cases when OCGS has provided no update, we are advised to submit a FOIL request for additional information related to that grievance. However, when we submit these FOIL requests, the response either includes our initial request along with several blank pages, or we are informed that there's no record of any grievance filed under that client's name. While the former is an insufficient response, the latter is clearly untrue because we are the ones filing the grievance on behalf of our clients, specifically because they don't have access to a grievance box. Recently, a client informed me that OCGS staff told them that they would no longer be accepting any more grievances from our advocates. Too often, our clients don't get a resolution or response until an attorney or an advocate intervenes. This particular client went without proper linens and a pillow for weeks. These are items that our client repeatedly requested from DOC staff, items that should have been provided to the client upon arrival at Rikers and should be washed and replaced regularly. Since the Committee of Criminal Justice City Hall hearing last April, we all have been waiting for an updated grievance directive from DOC. I understand that the board has authorization to make recommendations and submit reports of its findings to the appropriate authorities, but we hope that this doesn't end with a report. Our expectation is that your recommendation will lead to tangible actions that bring about real change. Now, regarding your report on the heat mitigation efforts, much like last summer, DOC is unprepared for this winter. One of the emergent themes cited in the report was DOC's failure to provide additional summer clothing. Today, DOC outlined their plan for summer 2025, but I urge them to also develop and implement a plan for winter 2025. We have a client in RESH who is currently in a cell without heat and has no blankets or warm clothes. Clients have also reported not being given coats when attending court appearances. And when they are provided with a coat, it often smells very unpleasant and is visibly soiled. When soiled, dirty coats are not the issue, the coats are either very thin or don't fit. Most recently, one of our clients, a 6'4" man, was given a coat which sleeves barely extended below his elbows and hem ended at his belly button. In accordance to DOC's own directive, our clients should be issued a coat during cold weather. And these institutional clothing should be laundered and maintained at DOC's expense. Ideally, we would want them to also fit our client. With that said, I want to conclude by thanking you all for listening and let you know that I'm available should you have any follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a note for the record regarding Board Member Dr. Cohen. His video and mic has not been active, so technically, based on board rules, he's not in attendance at this meeting at this time. So that is just for the record.
Thank you, Dr. V. Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips, followed by Dr. Francis Gatellis. I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Happy 2025. So happy that we all made it. Unfortunately, I don't have no good news. You know, I'm so happy that the report came out about charisma because unfortunately I had to deal with barbaric treatment from officers last year in this room, and a lot of y'all who won't even look me in the eyes today was trying to silence me about speaking up last year. So I'm happy to finally understand how do you spell murderers? DOC. So now that we all understand that we all need to step up and do our jobs to make sure that no one else is denied medical access or actual care, we can do that and save lives this year, right? Well, unfortunately, a lot of things I heard today was not true. There's no real community in DOC. I'll start there. Last year, I was a case was brought to me from officers because they was feeling it was being buried about an officer being sexually assaulted by other officers. Well, today I'm here to talk to you about a Miss Allen who has been sexually assaulted and felt that it was going to be buried and was crying recently for for safety, December 30th, December 31st, and January 1st. She claims to have been sexually assaulted. Various objects were used, denied access to medical care. I could go on and on about how barbaric these things truly are. And I just want to say on the record before y'all buzz me off that I actually called the commissioner to make sure that she was moved because today they couldn't come quick enough. And I need to make sure that she was safe. I actually called Councilmember Caban because it's her district. I actually called Councilmember Sandy because she's the chair of criminal justice, and I called the PA's office to make sure that the commissioner actually did what was stated to me and moved the detainee to safe places. And now I'm telling you all board members, since you're all, try to get me arrested and kicked out the room when I try to tell the truth on the record, try to tell me to be quiet after meetings and stuff, I'm telling you all, step up and do your damn job, because nobody on domestic soil should be barbarically treated like this. And when someone is behind walls, they are vulnerable. When someone is at the care, when someone is at the mercy of an officer, they are extremely vulnerable. And it is each one of you who took this seat to time to step up and do your jobs. I am so tired. And CHS, you don't get off on this, because if anybody comes to you doing medical and say they're having an issue or there's an assault, you better respond. I don't care who it is in that jail. I don't care where they come from, what neighborhood they are attached to, what gang they might be affiliated with. I don't care how big their badge might be. If someone is displaying something to you, you speak up. Dr. Homer used to say it on the record. Medical staff is afraid to speak up because he does it. But everybody in this room is adult. And let me tell you, 6 people in this row, 6 people, over $1 million in salary. They better have some answers when they come up in this room. Y'all too soft on them. It's time to step up and do real work. As our mayor say, get stuff done. Let's get stuff done. Save lives. Charisma, she could have been in your class, Judge. She could have been working for transportation chair. She could have went into law enforcement board member pits, but she's dead and she died. She was supposed to get out last September and she's not here with us. 23 years old. We all know, as smart people in this room, our brains don't fully form until 24, 25. So we killed somebody that could have been great. Do your job. Save lives. Hold DOC accountable. This is not a game. This is real life. And I will not be silenced. Stand up for Miss Allen and find out what's going on, because I got a 32-page report of her barbaric treatment.
Well, let me just make a note to the record. Board member Bobby Cohen is remote now. He has to maintain his camera and video, and he wants to be recognized. So go ahead, Dr. Cohen.
the to go to start on the camera.
Will we be able to bring in Board Member Cohen? Okay,
Yes, he's here. Yep, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Dr. Cohen, if you can hear me. Yeah, our board policy states, I believe, that you have to maintain your camera on at all times when you're remote. So I can't hear you right now, so let's see if we can fix this. And we'll note, because I do know that there are technical problems with the remote. I know it personally.
Unmute yourself. We can see you. We can see you. Just unmute. Press unmute.
We're going to go to Vice Chair Skip. Dr. Cohen, just hang in there. And then she has a question, and then we'll go come back to you, and hopefully it's correct.
It's okay. Hold on.
Thank you, Chair Sampson. I don't have a question. I have a statement. Thank you for your talk, Dr. V. And I heard you, and I'm leaning in, and I'm 10 toes in. So thank you. So please provide me with a copy and provide the rest of my board members, my fellow board members with a copy. Oh, we need to know what is going on. My question is to DOC. So obviously the commissioner was called, action was taken. What updates do you have about this situation?
I'm very sorry, but it is the first time I'm being made aware of it. I will certainly need to align with the commissioner.
Dr. V, please make sure
You're
you
good,
give
you're good.
copies.
We're working it on our end, okay, Bobby? Just
Yeah,
one second.
We'll give them mine.
but
We'll make one.
We may have appropriate response.
The Department of Correction General Counsel James Conroy, that incident was brought to the attention of the department. It's been referred to the Bronx District Attorney's Office. The allegations are between PICs and they are not in contact with each other. They've been separated.
Hold up. I'm sorry. I might not be fully transparent, but that's because I need to be. But in full transparency, I've actually read the report. And I hear you say that it is PIC against PIC. But what is happening in that report, all through that report, is that DOC is complicit, various officers on duty at the time these incidents were occurring, which is fully delineated in that report with dates and times. So I'm sure we can get the names of the officers who were on tour. DOC is complicit. So is CHS. So is PREA. Because all were involved. There's even a section in that report, and I'm going to blast it. I don't care. Where this individual was allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly because I'm not an investigator, getting raped in the shower area and making as much noise as she can to alert the officer. And what does the officer do? The officer flicks the lights in the shower and says, hey, whatever you're doing, stop. Never toured, never walked into the housing area to really figure out what's going on. And there's several other damaging spaces in this report that paints a very bad picture of DOC and some of its officers who are on duty. So I would urge you guys to get a copy of this report, to look at your logbooks, to figure out who is the officer on question doing all of these alleged incidents. And I want to hear something other than a recommendation. I want to hear something other than we have reprimanded the officer. We have issued policy and procedure, because you know what? Policy and procedure should already be issued. Everybody deserves to be safe. That is your officers who work there, and more importantly, the people who live there.
Again, we referred this to an investigative
No,
agency.
I
right?
get
mean,
it,
no, I
but you
understand. I'm
referred
just-
it to
It's with the Bronx District Attorney.
I understand that you referred it to the district attorney for possible criminal charges. Well, then riddle me this. Is these criminal charges also flowing to the DOC officers in charge who actually allowed this to happen? Or are the criminal charges slanted toward the alleged perpetrator?
I would say
This
that-
is what I'm saying.
I mean, you know, we've referred it out. We're not going to comment any further on that. I mean, it's been referred.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just don't want to.
No, I get it.
you
I
know.
get it. I just had to say what I had to say for the record, and I will be following up on this.
Yeah.
You have my word.
Yeah, I have complete confidence in the Bronx District Attorney to review matters for sure. If that referral is there, she and her team, know how to get to the bottom of things for sure. Dr. Cohen, do we have you? Okay, we're still not hearing Dr. Cohen. I apologize, Dr. Cohen. Maybe you can type it in the chat and we'll your chat is not working either. All right, so for the record, you are noted in attendance, but it is technical matters at this time. So I apologize for that. Okay. So the next speaker, please.
Yes, our next speaker is Dr. Francis Gatellis.
Yes, hi. My name is Frances Gatellis. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm a member of the Halt Solitary Campaign and the Jails Action Coalition. a lot of the speakers from the public have addressed the fact that your role, the role of this body, has been very ineffective. And one of the things that always upsets me that I read in the beginning of one of your reports this time was, we're not accusing anybody. Essentially, you're saying you're not holding anybody accountable. Why is that? How, I mean, it's like you're telling all the people that are responsible for the deaths that have been occurring that you're not going to blame them. You're not going to hold them responsible. That makes this committee, in some crucial ways, feel useless. It seems to me that if you have a report and you're investigating what happened, there is responsibility, and that has to be effectively challenged. So the question I have for you is, how do you make recommendations? How do you assure that those recommendations are implemented? If you can't do that, if you don't have any power, then you might as well all resign. You have to figure out how to get the people who are running the jails to do what is right. And Mr. Sampson, you spoke before about the need to re-educate people on one particular issue. I don't recall precisely what it was, but actually it seems to me there needs to be a total re-education, because the approach, the word corrections doesn't seem to be central to what is done in the jails. It should be. It should not be simply a matter of, we're going to correct people by punishing them. We're going to correct people by treating them badly. We're going to correct people by showing that we don't give a damn about their lives. I think that has to change. The whole atmosphere has to change. And I'm assuming it's your role to bring that about. So I'm asking you to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speakers are on remotely. The first remote speaker is Elizabeth Bobbio. I'm sorry, Elizabeth Bobbio is no longer on. The first speaker is Danielle Gerard.
Danielle, let me present it now. Danielle, are we ready? You present. Hi, Danielle, can you hear me? Can you unmute? Danielle? Can you unmute yourself? I can unmute you.
Mute, there we go.
Okay, Danielle.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. I'm Danielle Gerard, a senior staff attorney at Children's Rights, a member of the Jails Action Coalition. Based on everything that's gone on today, you've heard enough about what people would like to have happen, but I just want to say that all three December 2024 Board of Correction reports underscore the vicious, purposeful incompetence of the department. All three reports make common sense recommendations that should already be in effect. The heat mitigation report refers to the severe physical and mental health risks of extreme heat. The treatment of young adults with mental health conditions is of particular concern to children's rights. The report states, beyond physical health issues, heat also exacerbates mental health issues, contributing to increased violence, self-harm, and psychological crises. Studies indicate a correlation between rising temperatures and spikes in behavioral issues in correctional settings. This heightened risk places additional strain on correctional staff and challenges efforts to maintain safety during the summer months. The recommendations in the report on the deaths of Charisma Jones and Anthony Jordan beg the question, why do people have to continue dying on Rikers when the simplest steps could address the department's lethal dysfunction? This mayoral administration has blood on its hands, while the report makes clear that access to medical care, electronic, accurate, and complete logbook entries, functioning video cameras, and uniformed staff touring according to policy could at least prevent Rikers from being a death sentence. The death sentences it has been for more than 33 people, for 33 people since this mayor took office. I refer you to our written testimony for additional details. In the meantime, however, we ask you, when will closing Rikers get treated with the urgency it deserves? Thank you for your time and thank you for these reports.
Before we go, thank you. But before we go to the next speaker, we can get public comments. Can we see if we can get our board members' audio active? Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, Dr. Cohen. I know you can hear me, but yeah, we won't be able to hear you at this point. So can proceed.
Thank you. Our last person to comment is Peggy Herrera.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Peggy Herrera. I am a member of Freedom Agenda, a member of the Closed Rikers Campaign, a member of Treatment Not Jail, CCIT, and CCA. I'm also a mother. And my concern, which most likely will be very, very brief, but my main concern is that most of the people on Rikers Island, mainly speaking about RMDC, I am in contact with lots of them as a youth counselor who has worked in facilities and have worked with a lot of these people that are now on Rikers Island. So we understand that IEP is a legal document, and I understand that everybody on Rikers Island is not getting the services and the treatment that they are supposed to be getting, okay? I also understand that activities play a very big part in therapy, and one particular housing area is protective custody. They are not entitled to the activities, they're told, and they are made fun of because they are in protective custody, so they don't have access to those activities that you guys have been talking about. And we know that those things play a big part in therapy. It helps them to deal with their anxiety, and there's, you know, and it helps them to pass their time there. Mental health services are needed, okay, that help process their trauma, not a simple meeting like just to document something. As I know, because I work in facilities, I know that when they know somebody's coming in, they forge everything. Or they're coming in and they make time, they set everything up in place. Okay, so Rikers being where it's at, there is time to clean up all messes by the time we get over the bridge. Okay, and we know that they need mindfulness skills, and they need skills that help them cope with their anxiety and with their trauma. Okay, 311 calls are not being addressed, and people are afraid to make in-house complaints because they're being threatened by the very officers themselves. They're put in other facilities where they know that they have problems with another person. So they don't say anything because they don't want to be rehoused. Okay, the December lockdown, okay, they were denied breakfast. They said it wasn't mandatory to have breakfast during a lockdown at RMDC. And then for lunch and dinner, they were just regular smaller portions were given to, as opposed to regular portions that they get. Okay, while I know that Rikers is set, my biggest concern is, while I know, and I am an advocate and a voice for the Closed Rikers campaign, while I know that Rikers Island is set to close, we're asking right now, I want to know right now what services they're getting, because I can assure you that all those services that they talked about and all those activities, that they're not, a lot of my clients there are not getting on Rikers Island. Okay, I speak with them and they tell me, okay? And I know they're not getting the mental health services that they should be getting, and they're not getting all the other services they're not getting, and most importantly, activities, okay? It is Freedom Agenda and all the other organizations that are taking, okay, that are carrying the weight when they are released from Rikers Island, that are carrying the weight. Once they come into our communities, they come damaged, okay? And then we have to carry that weight to make them better. We have to provide everything that they need, the therapy and everything. When it's a system that is failing them, that's supposed to provide those things while they're there. I'm against rehabilitative. I'm more about restorative justice. Okay, so they're there to make them better. Okay, DOE is not doing what they're supposed to do. They continue to fail. Okay, they continue to threaten. They continue to abuse the people in there, and they are getting away with it. Just like every person in there said,
Okay.
that is what's happening.
Thank
Not everybody in there is
Mr.
getting the services that you talk about.
Ms. Herrera, if you can just close your comments, your time has elapsed.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that my ask is that council should be going in there unannounced and making sure that they speak to each and every person in there and find out what it is they're really getting. And there should be nobody being threatened after that. And we want to see and we want to know the status of that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. I think that's it for public comments. Regarding heat mitigation, I don't know if they turned the heat on in the building here. It's a little bit, it's a little bit chilly. But I can also say to the department and, you know, on a serious note regarding heat, it's a complicated issue sometimes in the jails. And I'll just tell one incident and when I was touring, a window was open and it was freezing cold. But when speaking to one PIC who seemed to have a lot of influence, he wanted the window open. And that window stayed open. So we're dealing with some real complex issues here. In human interactions that are very real. And we have to understand that there may be a number of underlying factors that's going into what we perceive to be occurring. So I just wanted to make that note as we close that to thank everyone who attended and participated in today's meeting. The board's next meeting is being scheduled to take place on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, not Valentine's Day this year, at 1 p.m. At this time, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Without any objection, the meeting is now adjourned.
Sorry.